Wan pushes on trying to electrocute the enemy. He takes out his weapon and shoots his enemy in the eye, making him just drop his attention enough to be held down by Krimgar gang members. With the vampire held down, Wan explains the way to defeating him. He moves in to pull out the black magic mana from the enemy's body, powering him down to enough to be killed. Wan realizes he can't hold on to the mana, so he makes it disappear into the atmosphere. With this battle draws to an end, Dre Krimgar has a farewell exchange by transferring the Feastman's services and getting a request from him to take out the blood from the vampire for his research. Wan backs to the bar where he meets with Jenny and Dylan. Dylan gives him the insight that District 20 scavengers are stronger than the District 51 scavengers. Jenny tells Wan that he's pretty popular now and plenty of requests are lined up that he can choose from. Later, Wan looks through the jobs and a job from a pharmaceutical company called Amnak catches his eye because of a certain drug. Wan goes back to the bar where he meets a certain someone who talks about Wan's accomplishments. He gives Wan a card by throwing it directly at him. He is someone with supernatural powers. Wan checks his card, where the person reveals his name is Sebastian and does the same job as Jenny. Wan realizes he's a telekinesis user. Jenny and Sebastian have an exchange about a conscription, a call-up order being issued by the government for all businesses. They seem to be taking this seriously, and with that, Sebastian leaves telling Wan to contact him for jobs. Amnak's representative arrives and is escorted by Jenny to a secret room to discuss business. He explains that Amnak is developing a tranquilizer, which is under threat from district office representative, who might be a spy. Wan's job is to move the tranquilizer from the secret storage facility to the district office without any problems. Wan realizes that there's more than what meets the eye. The job isn't paying well enough to handle a gang. He asks Jenny to renegotiate the terms. Then he might consider helping out. The negotiations go well, and our protagonist is on his way to the facility, where he sees he has help for the mission, but the employer didn't pay well enough for reinforcements. With minor reinforcements, he moves out to do his part. Wan addresses the situation to others, where he deals with a muscle head who thinks our protagonist is just a pushover. Another one of the team members also decides to test Wan's worth. He powers up his pyrokinetic ability that impresses Wan and decides to punch Wan with a fiery fist, but Wan deflects it by twisting his hand. Wan walks to the storage where he thinks about the nature of the job and realizes that Amnak probably wants him to fight the opposing gang. He tries to regroup the others and form 3 different groups of 15 members. He goes to the walls, strengthens the defense by adding Claymore, as Claymore is a trap spell that triggers an explosion when enemies are in range. With the defense traps done, he moves towards the storage where our red-headed pyrokinetic appears and begs for forgiveness. This time, he pleads for his life that gave our protagonist an interesting idea of using him as a part of a plan. He asks the pyrokinetic for assistance in setting the shoulders on fire of any foe he comes across. The protagonist goes to recharge his mana with one of his drugs. The attack begins with using detection spells. He notices that there are 150 foes, and out of them, 2 are strong. The enemies move closer in cars. Some of them try to attack from behind, but just when they try to break the walls, Claymore blasted the enemies' cars. It destroyed a total of 10 cars and 50 enemies, leaving behind 100 of them, among which a mysterious mage catches Wan's attention. Wan uses a threat with his magic to lure rival troops, with them marching straight ahead. He orders his men to shoot with their eyes closed, as he's about to blind the enemy with flux light. With the troops blinded, the team followed the pyrokinetic lead, an overwhelming charge with an array of bullets. Wan helps out with lightning spells, thinning the enemy forces, but his attention is towards the 2 stronger adversaries, Guile and Grime. Grime, the cocky mage, shows his distaste about Wan's confidence. Grime begins to chant a barrier-based magic spell that will close all of the exits, and when he's in the middle of it, Wan uses his mana weapon to shoot towards Grime, distracting him. Guile who seems to be a half-blood, gets insulted by our protagonist by being called a mutt. He tries to anger Guile into attacking, which triggers Guile into transforming into something that resembles a werewolf. As we and the protagonist predicted, it's indeed a werewolf. It's only a mixed blood. Guile dashes with bloodlusted charge, only to be blocked by Wan's shield. He manages to cripple a part of the shield, so he moves back for another bite, only to see that Wan has put up 5 more shields, and with his jaw in direct aiming position, he uses his weapon, boosted by multiple attack spells, to shoot him at point blank range. He moves in to keep the upper hand and electrocutes the werewolf, and to add insult to injury, uses thunder, calling to char this wolf. Moving his attention to the grind, the mage uses his staff to use a fully chanted shockwave spell by our protagonist, effortlessly redirects the attack upwards, making his attack useless. Being perplexed by the situation, Grime tries to make sense of Wan's strength by saying that he must be using an artifact. By not making sense of his judgments, he only shows fear and anxiety, which Wan thinks to be pitiful. So to end it, he casts Shadow Rage. Shadow Rage moves in towards Grime, breaking his wrist. Shadow Rage was casted as a countermeasure in the start by Wan because he thought that this battle might need a lot of tricks up his sleeve. But the battle ended to be terribly bland. He tries to finish off Grime with his gun, where Grime starts to plead for his life. Wan assures he will spare him if he tells that they were all of armed forces. Their gang had and Grime tell him. Wan decides to end his life because keeping him alive will be troublesome. After shooting him, Guile reawakens because of the moonlight shining upon him with his werewolf instincts, fueling his regeneration. He moves in but gets electrocuted again by the bolt. Wan picks up Grime's staff to move. After his previous encounters, the protagonist kicks back and relaxes, eats home-cooked meals to regain his health and looks for normal jobs to pick up on a routine. He even visits the Balkan library more often to learn more about the different types of magics. Upon doing his research, he's met with a familiar face, the university teacher Aris Reshelin, the chairperson of Labatinon University. She reveals her distaste in Van's choice in magic, spirit, and summoning types. She explains the effects of such magic, while asking the protagonist's name, since Lennox showing his real face. He decides to stay nameless and smoothly shrugs the question off. With that, Eris seems to take an interest in teaching him and wishes him to come meet her every other week to learn more. Eris teaches a few things which makes Van wonder about her character, being a nice person, looking out for the little guy while waiving her interests in magic. He utters to himself that it would be difficult to have a professor on his side and keep up his persona. With this, the protagonist meets up with Jenny and Dylan at the bar. It's revealed that Van's name is now in the deep web, which means his demand has risen and he won't need Jenny for finding clients. Van shows his interest in requests that can reward him with equal special rewards, like uncommon drugs. It might be a few months till Van can start making good money via the deep web, but he is going to need 20 million cells now. So Dylan tells him a way to earn that kind of money. He can kill contaminations and beasts in a group of 4 found in the outskirts of District 50. One kill is 1 million cells. Van shows his interest and heads for the district, registers and waits for his team of 4. Van meets the people he's grouped with. Interest in and intentions on keeping. Van confirms from Jenny about the woman's claims and thus removes her bindings and asks her name. The name's Camellia, but she goes as Milia. Camellia might have a proposition for Van, a way of efficiently killing the beast. After a back and forth of negotiation terms, Van settles 60-40 with Van getting the bigger share. Camilla gives Van a ride in forklift she found and fixed. She explains her plan to Van, saying that the contaminated would gather where the vagrants are living, and since she previously did a job for her boss, only the Antares, her agency, knows where the vagrants are. So going to the vagrants means more beasts would appear. They make their way, and after watching out, they sense 18 mercenaries heading where they are. It seems that all had the same idea. Van and Camilla go and try pursuing them, and it turns out it's Miguel with a bigger group. Miguel tells Van that he had his eye on this place before, to which Camilla stops him mid-sentence. Looks like there'll be a brawl. Camilla is pissed and pulls her gun out. Miguel reminds that the odds are against her, but Van isn't bothered by the advantage he has. He senses the strongest among them, Mayron, who has no presence of mana whatsoever. Mayron steps up and tries to stop the fight. Before there are further disagreements, a horde of beasts, roughly 20, come towards them. Van tells Camilla to rush them with her shotgun, and he uses the sinkhole to trap the mercenaries. He knows that won't keep Mayron under, so he uses his power to disrupt the flow of mana in him. With Mayron stopped, the rest are a piece of cake, and with the cake, there's cherry on top, and the cherry on top is Van smiling down on a group with a lightning spell ready to wreak havoc. He uses Lightning Tracker to help out Camilla with the beast. The second his attention diverts, Mayron escapes, along with other mercenaries, making their way out. Erickson asked Van why he didn't help them out, to which Van replied that he had no obligation to help them. Erickson, furious, tries to punch Van only to get blown away by magic and puts down by bolts. Miguel realized that Van was way stronger than him and the mercenaries, even Mayron acknowledging the fact that hands Van his card to recruit him in the future. The battle settles down. Van ends up earning 19 million cells, a million cells less, but still buys this demonia he longed for, hoping it works for him.
When he got home, he immediately began to improve his barrier. He prepared everything necessary in advance, but all that remained was to accept what came to him, or rather St. Pneumonia. At the auction, many people put all their money, but his bid won. Of course, he is not sure that this joke will save him from the penalties of the karma system. The thing is, if you overdose, there may be side effects, but still, he hopes that he can improve his condition. Once this pill was taken, the body of our main character simply did not want to stand it. Of course, he didn't want to pour in and suck out mana again, but this wasn't the time to worry about it. He just couldn't lose consciousness. He needed to strengthen his body and increase his resistance. Of course he did. So all he had to do was stay conscious and drink water. It was getting late at night. Of course, he drank this in pneumonia, but nothing changed, but his blanket fell into disrepair. It was all in toxins. Was it really all vipers? Did all the bad things come out of him? After all, if this is the case, then this tool is worth the money. Of course, if he's feeling better now than usual, then his mana dependency has slightly decreased. After that, a few weeks later, our protagonist was able to sleep without sleeping pills, and also that he was finally able to get some sleep. So now it was definitely possible to work a little, because at that auction he spent all his money. As soon as he called Jenny, her phone wasn't available, so he decided to visit her sometime. The city was too quiet, as if something was wrong. Most likely, something unusual happened. As soon as Van entered the bar, he saw a bartender we already knew, who was happy to see our character, and he immediately said that Jenny had put him on as a replacement, and now she was in some unknown office for him. Our hero asked, "Is something really happening in the Balkans?" But the old man was very surprised, because he asked strange questions for someone who probably hasn't been hiding in a cave all week. The old man started saying that everything was connected with the visit of very important people. They started arriving much earlier than expected, so that's why there was a commotion in the of course, there was something else. The old man said that it became known that the delegation will include a person whose influence is simply colossal. There will be one who has lived on the islands for several decades. A great seer. It was already evening. Our van was in the middle of the city where he wanted to use levitation, which is often not used. He just really wanted to see the great seer, because the one who lives in the lighthouse for several years is a great transcendent being who watches the open sea all the time. There aren't even a dozen 9th level ascended ones in this era, and she is one of them, the great seer Madre Falcio. Everyone knew that archmages were considered incredibly strong there, but the ascended ones were superior even to them. They defied their own limitations, and that was why they were called transcendents. To go beyond the limits, they consciously limit themselves and cannot move freely, but for this they receive power that is difficult to even imagine. But the Great Seer can see events and people thousands of kilometers away from her place of residence. She is able to look into the past and future because she has devoted her life to observation. She is an extremely respected teacher, so you should definitely take this chance to take a look at it. Are there really so many snipers on the roof? Of course, this all showed how much the state is trying to protect this ceremony. So you definitely shouldn't shine. You definitely shouldn't interfere. The only thing our hero could do was brainwash the guards, because he couldn't use invisibility because of his mana addiction. So it was at this point that he made it so that these guards simply wouldn't be able to notice him. Our van sat down on the edge of the roof and began to look through a certain scope, through which he saw an incredibly huge crowd of people. Agents. By this point, there were already 30 seconds left before everything would start. The Great Seeress herself arrived. The hall just exploded. Some even had tears in their eyes. Our main character simply could not believe his feelings, because the aura of this old lady was simply incredible. This woman could wipe the city off the face of the earth with her power. Her energy was so oppressive that it was difficult to keep her sanity. Did she really feel his gaze on her? So to escape, you just need to start doing it now. But can there even be an effect without a cause? In a world where order bites its tail, this is exactly the question that many people wanted to find an answer to. These are the very words that the seeress told our main character. She said that his existence was the answer, and she was so interested that she wished others could see the same thing. Everyone would have liked to have such a person with them. But now she sees that it is useless. She only asked to watch out for Alcide. Our Wang just fell to the ground. He couldn't catch his breath. After this incident, a new goal appeared in his life: to tread the right path. He wanted to ascend to find answers to all the questions that interest him. Of course, after the appearance of the seer, the city revived, because she was able to coordinate everything with the parliaments. 3 days later, the news spread that Madria Falcio had failed her ascension and died. But what was the reason she came to the Balkans? Of course, Jenny was thinking that she had taken Philemon's side because of the very project that had been carried out in the wilderness. The old man also understood that the problems would start from now, because the Ascended One that had made a unilateral decision had simply disappeared, so most likely Balkan would start acting. But definitely not now. For a while, they will adhere to no more norms, but radical ones will not be left out. War can definitely start. Vaughn realized that it wasn't a working day, so he decided to just leave. He just couldn't believe that the Ascended One had sacrificed her life for a fleeting moment. So it's more likely that she came to the Balkans already knowing it was going to be like this, or that she just found out about the existence of our main character. It was impossible to say exactly what she had come for, because it only gave her a headache. Our main protagonist reached for the Vyper, but pulled out only the same cutter that he had from the very beginning. It fell to the floor, so Vaughn was about to pick it up, but this particular cutter was immediately trodden on by some drunken grandfather who couldn't believe that his item had been picked up and dropped on the floor. Of course, our hero did not want to tolerate such conversations, so he immediately began to infect his attacker with magic. The old man fell to the ground, talking about being saved. Vaughn realized that the man wasn't going to fight and had something else in mind, so he asked what the other man really wanted to say. The old man immediately said that he was the one who improved this cutter. Memories flashed across our protagonist's face, so he thought it was lucky to meet such a person on the street by accident. But how could such a drunk improve on him at all? Sure enough, the old man started scratching his head, saying that this was the reason why he didn't like to talk to those who didn't understand Master's soul. But since he was a customer, he could come to his shop, and also that he was apologizing for today. Our Vaughn couldn't have known where the old man's store was, but after 2 days, he went straight to Jenny, because there was a new customer who was clearly much more interesting and fun than the last one. He was very surprised to see the real magician, which made our protagonist very angry, because if they don't know each other, then how does he even have the right to treat him like this? The guy's body froze, and our main character put a cutter to his forehead. Van understood that a werewolf was sitting in front of him, so it was necessary to make it clear as soon as possible who was in charge. As soon as the cutter was removed and the werewolf excused himself, our character got a better look at him. He couldn't even believe that an ordinary person was standing in front of him. Of course, this time the werewolf noticed that the cutter was made by Grandfather 10. The werewolf only asked to tell the old man that they were doing well, and also said that he works in the support department of the company that made this cutter, and they are the ones who want to hire Wang. But is a company like Dyke really needed in it? As soon as both of them arrived at Dyke's office, the guy asked if our protagonist means what does their company do. From Jenny's information, Wang knew that this company was originally a factory that made tools for industrial use. The company has always developed thanks to powerful capital, so it is also engaged in the production of weapons. Because of this, it is argued that they are waging a small war with the already existing Achilles Weapons Company. So since our hero is aware, the werewolf explained that he will be hired as one of the support members. Of course, Vaughn still didn't understand what he would need to do, so the werewolf decided to show him. He opened the door and introduced him to a girl named Manhwa. The girl, in turn, asked him not to appear so suddenly again, but still asked our protagonist to sit down on a chair. She introduced herself as the head of the planning department, Manhwa Balachi. Of course, our hero was interested, because if she is the head of the planning group, then what position does she have in the company? Manhwa couldn't understand the meaning of this question, but all Vaughn said was that he wanted to know who was in charge of the case and understand the scale, since he already had experience working blind, and he hadn't heard anything like that from the werewolf. Manhwa was surprised that our character knew that Keelan was a werewolf. Did Keelan tell him? But our hero only said that he felt it, because there was already one time when he killed his representative. Manhwa decided that there was no point in hiding anything, so she said that there was a strict ban on conflicts between support team members and their company, and Keelan seemed to be a little vulgar, so she apologized for that. Our protagonist again asked us to answer his question and stay on the topic. So Manhwa said that her position is such that she can personally influence the direction of the company's business development, and she personally put forward this project on the board of directors. As soon as they entered the weapons business, they were already looking for a way to expand their customer base. So residents of districts Fordham and his 50+ are their potential regular customers. Our Wayne confessed that he wasn't good at selling, but Panchi said that they didn't call him as such a person, but as a magician, because to expand the business in the 40 seconds, you need to restructure local competitors, and before launching their products there, you will need to remove some obstacles. So I really hope that our hero will be the one who can help them with this. Of course, our protagonist started asking again about everything, about the fact that a company like Dyke doesn't seem to have a problem with the lack of resources, so she doesn't understand that they made an order for a magician. Manhwa decided to say that there were several reasons for this, because first of all, Vaughn had earned a reputation too quickly, and second, if they approached people from outside, they might be able to justify their actions at some point. Of course, the main reason for hiring is justification. They said that if LC Risk Tent is called their own and they use their armed forces, they will be able to limit their business. However, if they indirectly regulated the entire situation through a mercenary, then no one would be able to do anything to them. Of course, our van understood that lawlessness is being created in the 40+ district with consent of the city authorities, so if giant companies stretch out their hands there, even visible prosperity will disappear. Most likely, this is not the outcome that the authorities want. After all, in the end, Dyke asks to eliminate the company's competitors in the 40th districts. Our hero asked, what about the payment? So Manhwa said that she knows that our character is interested in rare artifacts, so that his requirements can match his skills. Because if it was about this item that was on her tablet, then all of them should be, because it was only offered at the VIP auction, 5 Fingers Antique Fill. A consumable artifact that simply isn't on the market. That item was provided by the Milady School, and triggers 5 evasive maneuvers, so it's definitely not something you can just pick up and buy. So if our hero completes 5 tasks, they promise to get this artifact. She immediately handed over the contract and said that there would also be a reward for each completed task. Of course, Van knew that this artifact would be useful, but he still wanted some time to think about it. Of course, after this conversation, our main character immediately went to Jenny, where she told him that the rice and the price are quite high and understood what exactly Dyke wants. Of course, until now, the tasks had a simple and understandable goal, but now the consequences will definitely be serious. There is a high probability that competitors will take revenge, but even if our character continues to put his safety first, he will not get what he wants. It was a rare artifact, so I figured I'd let Dyke know it was ready. As soon as the order was accepted, Jenny said that the first goal was Paul Ackerman, that the guy started acting 2 years ago, and already has chains to sell, so it will be a good result to start with his investors. However, the source of his capital was not revealed, but there is a rumor that Ackerman is connected to Master Juice. It is the same Dominic Cabero who was recently included in the Pandemonium plan, and then others like Jude Russell. Of course, Jenny herself didn't understand why the named one had to be eliminated first, but according to the information provided by Dyke, Paul Ackerman would hold a meeting, and Jenny had checked so no one would interfere with him. Of course, our main protagonist's squad will have 5 more members, and the gathering will be in 3 days, so Vaughn immediately got up and started to leave, saying thank you to Jenny. Sure enough, Wang was already there. He had come to see the people who had gathered. In this group, there were 2 people who were strangely dressed, but nothing could be done because they were already running out of time. They said that all the boxes were closed, so there are still 5 entrances where as soon as everyone goes to their places, only then will you need to start acting, and everyone will join you later. This person held out headphones, which will be a means of communication between everyone, and also asked if they are all not afraid that their faces will be found and recognized. The girl immediately stepped forward and said that to increase the cost of production, you just need to indicate your name and tell about yourself. But this information of course did not like the strange guys. They went home. The girl also had some disagreements with the man who was standing next to her. Of course, he relied on his physical abilities, was confident in himself, but definitely not in the person who was standing behind him, that is, in Vam. He asked his man's rejuvenation to stand still, but our hero only Prajan or Vuravarabit. The old man had passed on. Of course, by that time, everyone had started to act, and the guards had been killed time after time, except for the guards that our protagonist had passed through. He walked past the containers and noticed that their target hadn't joined their men yet, so he decided to finish the soldiers as soon as possible. He would use the same method for the remaining ones. Of course, as soon as he was done with everything, he told his companions about it. Of course, he later thought that Russell would probably be too sensitive, so it would be better to use the artifact that Camille had given him. At the same time, Russell himself got out of the car, which entered the territory. At the same time, our hero realized that it was better to tell everyone that Russell was in his neighborhood. He saw that Russell was being too open with his employees. He said that he had invested too much money, but none of them lived up to their expectations. Did they really think that he would just leave them alone? Then, the man who was standing in front of Russell tried to apologize, but Russell didn't accept his request and then started hitting him, showing that he was the boss. Our van was already aiming his pistol directly at Russell, so that in a second the bullet was already near Russell's forehead. Of course, this attack could have worked if not for one but. A man appeared and cut the bullet in 2. Everyone immediately started running in different directions. They were afraid that they would be killed with the same shot, but Russell gave an order which meant that he was still the boss of those people. They were obliged to listen to him and everything. But at this moment, a new attack was made on Niagen using a laser. They were just another group of mercenaries who had come to the rescue. Both strange people said that it was all for the sake of the plan. Because they just had to kill Paul and then get out, that was their decision. Of course, none of them noticed our main character because of the amulet, so he was happy to listen to this argument. But the argument was not over, because the girl was injured with a katana from the back. He said that they were too loud to communicate, so he found them. The masked man couldn't understand how he had even managed to get close to them without getting caught. However, this masked man knew that the person in front of her was probably a retired military man, so she pointed her hand at him with a laser. But that person definitely knew that this person was one of the cyborgs. Our protagonist also heard about this organization, which provides conditions to go beyond what is available, that they simply go beyond their capabilities. Of course, the soldier knew that it was not very good to mix blood with oil, but still there was nothing he could do, because she would still die. Cyborg said that it was all over, because Paul is dead, but the military only asked to look back, where Cyborg noticed that Russell is certainly alive. Cyborg thought it was impossible, but it was just like that. Russell also spoke in riddles, saying that he called another guest, or rather the same jock from the very beginning who came out with the head of another cyborg. Of course, Russell made it clear that with his money, he could bribe almost anyone on their side. Did they really think that everything would go so smoothly? After all, if they are so stupid and weak, then they are not worthy of life. Russell aimed his weapon directly at the cyborg, but at the same time could not do anything, because he was hit by a shot. Of course, Vaughn understood that the main task was to protect the woman, but he couldn't ignore the gorilla that was charging at him with all its might. He decided to block it with a few layers of armor, but this time, as many as 4 layers broke. The strength of this man was simply incredible, comparable to heavy ammunition. Of course, the solution to this problem was supposed to be a shot from a gun, but nothing worked. The gorilla continued to use his physical strength. Our main character can't think of anything better than escaping with shock magic, or else he will be exposed to attacks. As soon as he thought about it, he was thrown straight into the containers. Of course, Gorilla said that he didn't think that our protagonist would have the strength to resist him, but still it's time to finish. It was at this point that our hero noticed that in front of him is a necromancer, who is getting stronger every time. Our Van had no choice but to use the Vyper and form a field around him. The gorilla laughed. He said that he liked working, that he was paid both ways, and also that Russell was dead. There was simply no reason for him to leave witnesses. Our character looked at the other containers, where the woman was gone, that Jude was approaching him too, so his decision was to start running away towards the sea. The gorilla tried to stop him, trying to hit our hero with containers, but Van gracefully dodged, even though his strength was running out. He used gravity magic to catch them. The gorilla began to laugh and ask, "Is the magician so stupid? Is he going to run away, hiding in the sea?" Of course, our character said that he definitely wasn't going to swim in the sea in this weather, but the gorilla just kept laughing at him, saying that his weak Manga body was already shaking. At this moment, Jude appeared, over which the gorilla also began to laugh because he let go of the girl. But Jude didn't like it, he just couldn't do anything. However, from the good news was our main character, who apparently couldn't escape, but calmly stands. Did he really accept his death? Of course, Van said that they had no reason to kill him since they had lost their client, but Jude only replied that it was a useless question before he died, and also that it was his master who had given him the job. Of course, it was now clear that Jude had much stronger people than he did, that they were very concerned about keeping the information out of the public eye. So it was at this point that our main character used gravity magic again, wrapping his arms around his enemies. What is this? Did you really think such a trick would work? If you thought I was the kind of guy to fall for it, hey, you probably didn't even prepare yourself for something like this. I can't let them escape. What the fuck? Mana does not respond. During my flight until now, I've had several opportunities to kill the author. Nevertheless, I have endured and came this far for this moment. All this for this precise moment. We have to escape. To face simultaneously someone from my level, you have to aim perfect timing. Before that all waves does not dissipate. Right away. Ice round correction aiming improvement of shooting acceleration of rotation. Create some subtle breaches between the shields. When attacking, change direction to reduce damage. I should pay more attention to mana control, but it's not that difficult. So, next attack will be, since my first shot was blocked, I will try to avoid a frontal clash. From the beginning. It's impossible that I can't find the mana I have released, right? And I also integrated my mana here where you lie. What are you talking about? Of shadow RID. Stop. Lick it blood so deliciously before my eyes, as expected, you are a vampire. With powerful capabilities physical and you wish to cheat on me. An intelligence of cunning combat, a thirst for blood, and the capacity of creating a mist of blood, hematokinesis. This is a very useful ability, but it becomes much more vulnerable during an attack. Take this shape to flee. This means this is your last effort. Call of Thunder. I knew that it would happen like this. That is why I told you that hiring people only on the basis of their careers would lead to problems. I expected that. The treason also. I will have had to test them. After all, to deal with people whose identity is not clear, you must a sieve. If you said you would test them, would we have? Could you select team members of this quality right now? To soothe the grunchers, we offer them a better maybe should of their remuneration. You say this while you know perfectly our situation. So it's how it happened. I underestimated the 40th district, gathering people who did not have a major problems so far. I thought it would go well. I didn't think they would turn their backs so easily. Working with non-recidivists, we must prepare ourselves for a certain level of risk. So what is the plan? This guy is a real deal. We must capture it if we want to succeed your plan. Since the work has finished, so we should call Lur and fine honorable. If you want work with this guy for a long time, I count him give a part of the success bonus that I promised the 4 at least for now. I hope this will satisfy him. And we should ask Manga to find more appropriate freelance candidates. This time, even if it costs money, it's better to pass through the testing process as you suggested. We should not have scripted on means for such a matter. Later that the day after, the reactions are not favorable. The influence of Paul Ackerman is lying seems more important than we thought so. From the point of view of those who have receipt of investments lies on his part. Their source of money was cut from day to the following day. Of course, attack subordinates of Juice Master must have had an impact. Inflammatory pain menthol methyl salicylate. Are there others? News from the side from Dyke. Just when we received a long apology message for this incident. They will also be in a difficult situation. They asked me to visit their headquarters again. It is better to ignore them. What do you think? Even if they don't know how to engage in this field, he is strange. Let they ask for cooperation in planning this such. We will be able to act once they have confirmed the additional rewards on their side. At least it looks like we can get a lot of money. That would be wonderful. This time, it seems to be a little complicated. Additive turpentine and yellow salt bore binders. If you are in pain, some go, tell Jotin. Already he said he had to use a scalpel in the past. Had the opportunity, it's a little unexpected. Jotin, was he a doctor? He had no official license, but if he can talk like that, is not a charlatan. Maybe if the opportunity is present. After the call from Jenny, I ignored all Dyke calls and I focused only on my healing. Due to responsive escape attempt, my condition was so bad I could not even eat correctly. I should avoid such attempts to the future. After my body has slightly improved, during the rest periods, as usual, I invested in the magic research. So far, I have not developed the magic, only imagination, but this time. But I have changed. I tried to analyze the patterns in the spells. I decided to gather data to create my own magic. If I cannot, not getting a satisfactory unique magic system later. 3 times mana flow, 7 rotations, 2 compressions. Should I draw the patterns separately? Back and a few days later. I cannot do the deadline on my diet eating, even if I am very busy. Go to market near Hesme would be better, but even a city government officer. I can't alone go. Hate amazing. It makes long haven't seen each other. Even when the luck is not on my side, is it? Is it still this serious? Did this girl move her base too? 1 mana, rather unusual, is not it? Why are you here? Someone like you. A wizard. First I have to change my model of mana. I don't know if you remember my model of mana. It's been a long time. Be careful. Nothing will happen to you serious. It appears that the model of mana has changed slightly. Or is it just me? Probably not. I'm tired lately, so maybe I'm getting ideas. Yes, it must be that. Notice the mana change in such a short time. What kind of eyes do you have? Moreover, Kroken Asilis. It's gone too far. Challenge. Kroken asks a lot of skill. Be careful. Wait a minute. Volume. What is your name? Your diagram de mana is exceptionally clean for a level 4 mage. Usually, guys like you, who has a solid foundation, quickly raise in grade. Maybe that we will meet again one day. It's good to know your name. Let's meet as one, comrades. Where shall we see, like the prey of a agent hum? To be honest, I should not tell you that, an information. Should I make an exception? He will be there soon. Have a repression to large scale in lawless territories outside. So, please continue. Especially in the 40th district, they plan to tackle the wizards who settle and hide the taxes. If you have relations there, it better to keep a low profile for a while. But if your name appears on the dark web, you are not involved in this kind of things, are you? What does dark web mean? If you don't know, don't worry not. I tell you because I loves you. It's weird to falling on someone's face in a place like that for no reason, right? If you are really caught in an agent-led search, it doesn't happen, won't end in way as well. Claw. My name is Evelyn Marcia. I am at James. If the next time we meet you can't address me by the same name, then you should prepare yourself at the moment. It is understood. Sigh. Should I search for another walk? Hello, I received a call from Dyke. Since I cannot contact you as expected, it appears let things be aggravated as foreseen. Not only an amount greater than the success bonus. I feel like I'm thinking about what more I should offer. They asked me to come to headquarters in a week. It seems what it takes more time than expected. What if we also set a deadline? If you have time, come one day. Alright, I will try to come soon. Something enjoy you with your vintage premium. The atmosphere is different from usually. It's strangely calm. At the least, what can we say? All the monitored world, that man. Oh, it's finally arrived. We waited. Do you know who I am? From now you better remember that. The one who has suffered a lot from what you did this time. Did you work with Paul Ackerman? The one who received investments of this type. Daddy to P, he's said to be an arms dealer. So, you came for vengeance. Not today in any case. I am just came to give a warning. Small, we don't takes not lightly. When someone is looking for nuts, we can leave go on once, pretending not to know at the start. But if you mind it in our business, you should pre-prrry. This makes a moment I want to break the spirit of that type. I don't intend to just endure it. I hope there is no misunderstanding. If you try to solve this problem in such a messy way, my customer will not remain crossed arms. You didn't think not that it was because of Paul Ackerman's stupidity that there were no corpses on the site. That did not have a body left behind, is not it? Alright, let's consider this as a situation unprecedented. Jenny, you are the same. We know that we won't touch your bar because of the Kaiser name. If by chance you are getting involved in any support with this guy, Beck, stop making noise here and get out of my bar following. Psy Punky, the member the highest placed seat. Bang. Beck Clinton, Best Pub Iber List 1. Vip Lucky Dart. So who is it? The gang most active in Area 48 and recent time. The ocean. The death of Paul Ackerman in the area they manage could have implications. If we find in conflict, it will not be an adversary easy. Tequilol, something like that. They have nearly 1,000 members, and financially they are at the top of the gangs. I recommend coordinating with Dyke to adjust our staffing gang. How far should we prepare to face them? Which is the likelihood of support from Dyke? It would be better prepare for the worst scenarios. Alright, look at this, including the job application received by Van. A demand at this moment. Check it for now. I do not think that Jenny would do something like this without thinking. He does something similar to Jenny. That person is this. So what are brokers doing business today? Well, judging by it in advance of 2.2 million cells, it's not about not just to attract attention. It seems that he really wants to take care of this work. It could also help you in your work, right? Sebastian, dealing with customers who know the working works of the business well. Socket. If we can get information on Dyke's internal affairs through Sebastian. You agree? With beer it would not be a bad affair. This does not make me don't disturb. If you intend to work with this man, you would be already gone see. Besides, my name is already on the deep web as a registered broker. Tower of Acesso. Let's go see it. In front Sebastian's office. Zone 40 is maybe better than Zone 50, come in. But it's completely unique. Isn't this a building we found in the Zone 10? Is this the first time you've seen him at the bar? TV, is this his office? Do I really invited someone in another's office person? First, come in and let's TLK. You have arrived. This is Madison, who personally came to my office for reasons private. Delighted to meet you. And here is Mage Van, a worker extremely competent, independent. I really cannot wait to be there. He looks like a clerk ordinary.